Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our international webinar on what do I say after I say hello. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you all are doing well. So let's begin our session with the wonderful quote. Optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. It is a glorious moment to extend the warm wishes and greeting on behalf of the SEMS Foundations. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the speaker, Colonel Sanjeet Sirohi, for accepting the invitation and presiding over the webinar on what do I say after I say hello. My name is Kirti Nohavar and I will be your host for today. This will be an opportunity for us to learn from our speaker. Before I proceed, let me take a brief moment for the introduction of my organization, SEMS Welfare Foundation. It is a non-profit entity established to work in the area of education, social welfare, women empowerment, skill development, and entrepreneur, livelihood generation, and employability, health, research, culture, international cooperation, sports, environment protection, or any other similar sectors. We promote healthy lives, a balanced and active community, and strong business. Let's talk about our topic. What do I say after I say hello? Explain what makes the winner wins, the loser lose, and in between so boring in it. It also demonstrates how each life script gets written, how it works, and more importantly, how anyone can improvise or change a script to make a happy ending. It provides the insight to recognize the motivation behind everyone's action. Now let's introduce our speaker, Sanjeet Sirohi, an economics graduate from Delhi University and joined Indian Military Academy in 1975, served for 35 years and retired as a colonel in 2009. In last 11 years, he has interacted with more than 2,000 students and helped them in carving their success path by developing their soft skills, employability skills. In last couple of years, Colonel Sanjeet Sirohi has partnered with prestigious CBSE schools in NCR to speak with an adult sense, promoting life skills and helping with identifying their identities and conducted teachers' motivation and training workshop. To embark on his professional voyage with excellence, he has attended soft skill trainer course from Institute of Image Consulting, Business Institute, New Delhi, training, public speaking, experience, etc. He also worked as senior trainer for personality development with Winning Mintra Noida. He also worked as director HR in Institute of Hotel Management. He conducts coaching classes for SSB, conduct workshops on teaching faculty development. He delivers talk during parent-teacher meeting in most of the prestigious schools in NCR. He presently conducts classes on employability skills for graduates and postgraduates at Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut. He delivers motivational talks on Heroes Quest program telecasted by First Bite TV, a new channel in May. Now over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kirti. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today we are going to discuss a very uncommon topic, but very, very important topic. What do I say after I say hello? Now, the problem which I am going to discuss with you is that today's generation is known as a silent generation. That means we are very, very expert in typing a chat on the WhatsApp or on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or any other thing. But when it comes to interacting with people and making a conversation, then most of the people in the young generation and some of in the adult age group have difficulty in conversation with other people. Now, for example, let's take a case. Suppose you are at a party or a business meeting. You are introduced to someone, you shake hands, your eyes meet, and you say hello. And suddenly, your entire body of knowledge gets dried up and your thought process comes to a screeching halt. You don't know what to say after saying hello. You try to fish for a topic to fill the awkward silence, but you fail. And your new contact who was listening to you, who had met you, he moves in the direction of the cheese plate. You fail to make a small talk. You must always remember that your tongue is mad embossed with welcome or go away sign. To make your conversation partner feel comfortable and welcome, you must master the small talk. Now, small talk, these are two very harmless words, but they drive a stake into the most fearless and undaunted souls. Invite them, these people, to a party where they don't know anyone, and you will see how uncomfortable they feel. It has been noticed that brighter the individual, the more or he or she detests small talks. It has been found that most of the executives of Fortune 500 companies are completely comfortable when having a big talk with their board of directors or addressing their stockholders. But when it comes to a party, they behave like a little lost children. And they confess that they feel very uncomfortable while talking to anyone. So the fear of small talk or a stage fright is almost the same thing. And I call it small talkophobia. That means people are scared of making small talk. So if that is the case, then let us see, is this small talk phobia curable? Yes, absolutely. But you must remember that small talk is not about words and facts. It is about music and melody. Small talk is about putting people at ease. Small talk is about making comforting noise together, like purring of the cats, humming of the children, and chanting of the group. So now the question is how to start with a conversation or how to make a small talk. The first step is starting a conversation without strangling it to match your listener's mood, if only for a sentence or two. This is called mood matching technique. Like repeating the note of your musical teacher on harmonia, top communicators pick up on their listener's tone of voice and duplicate it. So, what do? Now, let's move on to the slides. Before opening your mouth, take a voice sample of your listener to detect his or her state of mind. So, that is the first thing you must do. You must see what is the mood of your listener. If you ever want to bring people around to your thoughts, you must match their mood and voice tone, if only for a moment. So the first thing you must do is, if you want to start a conversation with somebody, you must match your mood with your listener mood. That is number one. Now, next we move. The next question which most of the people are in dilemma is, what is a good opening line when I meet people? So people are thinking, what should I say? First thing, what should I say? Well, as long as you put people at ease and you sound passionate, anything will do. It is not what you say, it is how you say. Now, how do you put people at ease? Firstly, by convincing them that they are okay. In whatever situation they are okay. And number two, you must try to tell them that you are similar to each other. Once you do that, then you break the wall of fear, suspicion, and mistrust. Say is fine as long as it is not a complaint, you are not rude, or you are not unpleasant. If the first words out of your mouth are complaint, then people will label you as a complainer. Why? Because that complaint is your new acquaintances 100% sampling of you so far. You could be the happiest Pollyanna ever, but how will they know? Because you have started complaining. So, if your first comment is complaint, you are a griper. If your first words are rude, you are a creep. If your first words are unpleasant, you are a stinker. So, what do? Use the technique known as PROSAIC with passion. Now, what is the technique? 80% of your listener's impression has nothing to do with your words. You must understand that. Almost anything you say at first is fine, no matter how prosaic the text is. An empathetic mood, a positive demeanor, and passionate delivery makes you sound exciting. So when you meet someone, you can say anything, but don't complain, don't be rude, and don't be unpleasant. And whatever you say with empathetic, positive, and passionate delivery, and you will make your mark. The third thing what you should do is, if you want to make a conversation with anyone, there is a technique which is known as WHATZIT. Now, what is WHATZIT? WHATZIT is anything you wear or carry that is unusual. That could be a unique pin, an interesting purse, a strange tie, or an amusing hat. Or WHATZIT can be any object that draws people attention and inspire them to approach you and ask, what's that? At a gathering, you have noticed someone you like to talk. Suppose you go to a party or you go to a business meeting and you would like to meet someone and you would like to talk to someone. You racked up your brain to find an excuse to speak to that person. But if you find something interesting, something unusual that person is wearing, then that is the best thing that you go there and ask that person, what's that? Your business card and what's it are crucial socializing artifacts. Whether you're riding in an elevator, you are climbing the doorstep, or you're traversing the path to the party, always wear WHATZIT, and it should be hanging so that everyone can see it. And the technique for this is, whenever you go to a gathering, wear or carry something unusual to give people who find you the delightful stranger across the crowded room an excuse to approach. And they will say, excuse me, I couldn't help but notice your what's that. So the point what I want to bring out here is that you must, whenever you go for a meetings or you go for a party, always try to wear something which is unusual or carry something which is unusual. That will help other people to converse with you. Next, we move on to the other technique, which is known as who's that. Now, first we discuss what's that. Now we will discuss who's that. Say you have scrutinized the body of the important business contact you want to meet. You have searched in vain from the tip of cow leg to the toe of their boots. He is not sporting any WHATZIT. Then what do? Then you resort to who's that technique. And how do you do that? Go to the party giver and say, that man looks interesting to me. Can you please introduce me to that person? Don't be hesitant. The party giver will be very, very happy with you, because he will think that you have find someone in their guest list to be very interesting. If, however, you are loath to pull the party giver away from his guest, you can still perform WHOOZAT. And that technique is that instead of asking for formal introduction, go to the party giver and request him to give you some information of the person you want to meet. It could be their job, it could be their interest, it could be their hobby. And then with that thing, you can go to that person and start interacting with it. So the technique is, WHOOZAT is the most effective, least used meeting people device ever contrived. Make the introduction or pump for a few facts that you can immediately turn into icebreaker. So if you have some knowledge about the person you want to meet, it will be very easier for you to go and there and converse with him to make a small talk. The fifth technique we are going to discuss is the eavesdrop in. Now, suppose you go to a party, there is a woman you want to meet, but that woman is not wearing WHATZIT. You don't know who's that. To make matter worse, she is conversing in a group where it is very, very difficult for you to go and interject yourself in that. So what do? The best thing is stand near the group of people you wish to infiltrate. Then wait for a word or two you can use as a wedge to break into the group. And those could be, once you have heard those words, just say, excuse me, I couldn't help overhearing you. And then whatever is relevant, please fill it up. For example, I will tell you, you go to a group and the people are discussing about, say, Bermuda Triangle. You go there and just say, I couldn't help overhearing that you are discussing Bermuda. I'm going there next month. Can I ask you a few questions? And then that is what has given you an opportunity to go and interact in a group, and then you can interact with a person you want to do. Now you are in the circle and direct your comments to your intended. So the technique is no WHATZIT, no host for WHOOZAT, no problem. Just sidle up behind this swarm of folks you want to infiltrate and open your ears. Wait for a flimsy excuse and jump in with, excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear, and then you can say whatever you want. So these were the 5 techniques which I have told you. First was that you have to mask the mood. Number 2 was PROSAIC with passion. Number 3 was what's that. Number 4 was who's that. And number 5 is the eavesdropping. Now we move on to other techniques. Next technique is never the naked city. You are at a convention. Everyone you meet will ask you, you are from which place? This is the simple thing whenever you go anywhere and you meet a stranger, the first question they ask is, from where do you belong? Now, when you give them short form naked city answer, what can you expect them to do? They will be giving a blank stare. They are rapidly racking their brains, thinking, what should I say next? So, my advice to you is never give just one sentence response to this question. That is, where are you from? Give the hungry communicators something to conversationally nibble on. All it takes is an extra sentence or two about this your city, some interesting facts, and some witty observation to hook the asker into conversation. And you must decide what hook you should use depending on the personality of the individual you are interacting with. So whenever you are asked that you belong to which place, don't give just one word answer. Because if you give one word answer, then the other person will not know how to proceed with the conversation. But if you add one or two sentences, which could be the facts about your town or city, or it could be some witty observation, then that person will be able to comment on that. So just always remember that. And the technique is when someone asks you the inevitable, and where are you from, never ever unfairly challenge their power of imagination with a one-word answer. Learn some engaging facts about your hometown that conversational partner can comment on. So this was the sixth technique which I have told you. Now we move to the never the naked job. Everywhere, wherever you go and you meet strangers, the next question normally is asked is, what do you do for your living? Now, if like your naked city, you give one word or two word answer, then it will be very difficult for that person to comprehend. And then he will not be able to carry on with the conversation. For example, you are an engineer or you are an economist and you are asked that what are you doing? What do you do? And you say, I am an economist. After that, what does that person say? He may not have any knowledge about what the economists do. So it is better to explain your job so that that person is able to then carry on with the conversation regarding your job. So the technique is, you may think I'm an engineer and an economist is giving enough information to engender good conversation, but you are wrong. It can never happen. Throw out some delicious facts about your job for new acquaintances to munch on. So never give one word answer for this question. Next, we move on. A very, very important technique. Never the naked introduction. I have noticed number of times that when people they introduce someone to someone, they are not clear how to introduce. As a result, those two people who are introduced have no clue that how to proceed with the conversation. Now, suppose I will give you an example. I will explain to you within help of example, and I want you to pay special attention to that because this is one problem which I have seen everywhere. The people are not aware how to introduce someone. Now, suppose you have to introduce Gaurav and Shefali. Now, what the most of the people do is, they say, I quote, Shefali, I would like you to meet Gaurav. Gaurav, this is Shefali. And what do you expect Gaurav and Shefali to do? To say nothing. So don't blame Gaurav and Shefali for being less than scintillating. The fault lies with you who have introduced them like most of the people they introduce their friends with naked names. Big winners may not know how to converse, but they never allow their conversation to die unwittingly in the midst. They make sure of this technique, that is the never naked introduction. They introduce people with simple adds on. Now, same introduction I will do again. Shefali, I would like you to meet Gaurav. Gaurav has got a wonderful boat in which we went on a trip. Then Gaurav, this is Shefali. She is the editor-in-chief of Filmfare magazine. Now, what you have done? You have done the padding up of both the people. As a result, now what will happen is Shefali will ask Gaurav about the boat, and she may also ask what type of boat, where did they go for a trip. Similarly, Gaurav will also have an opportunity to discuss about his taste for writing by interacting with Shiva. So this is the way you must introduce people instead of just saying so and so meet so and so. Then they will not be able to converse and you have failed in your responsibility to introduce people correctly. Now, technique. When introducing people, don't throw out an unbaited hook and stand there grinning like a big clam, leaving the newly mets to flutter their fins and fish for a topic. Bait the conversational hook to get them in the swim of things. Very, very important. Now, with this, what we have done is we have so far discussed 8 techniques. First 2 techniques, that is the mood, match, and PROSAIC with passion, were 2 personality enhancers. After that, we discussed 3 conversational igniters, which were WHATZIT, who's that, and eavesdropping. And then we discussed 3 small extenders like never the naked city, never the naked job, and never the naked introduction. Now let's move on to the next level of communication ladder. In this, the first technique we are going to discuss will be a word detective. Now, what does it mean? It simply means that top communicators know ideas don't come out from nowhere. No idea comes from nowhere. When talking with people, keep your ears open and like a good detective, listen for clues. Be on the lookout for any unusual references. It could be anomalies, it could be deviation, it could be digression, or it could be invocation of another place, time, or people. Ask about it because it is the clue to what your conversation partner would really enjoy discussing. If 2 people have something in common and when the shared interest come up, they jump on it naturally. For example, if someone mentioned playing squash, bird watching, or stamp collecting, and listener shares the same passion, then he or she pipes up, oh, you are a squasher too. So the technique is very simple, just pay attention. Like a gumshoe, listen to your conversation partner's every word for clues to his or her preferred topic. The evidence is bound to slip out. Then spring on that subject like a snoop onto the slip of a tongue. Now you have the clue to the subject that's the hot for the other person. So this is how, whenever you interact with anyone, you must try to find out what is something which will interest the other person. And I can assure you that other person will give you clue during your conversation. And if you mention that clue, you will realize that after that, your conversation partner will keep on talking and you will have very, very healthy and good discussion and good small talk. I will not say small talk, now it will be converted into a big talk. Now let's move on to the next technique. Next technique is, let me explain to you. When you meet someone, you learn so much more if you ask about their life. What will happen? When you ask anybody you are meeting for the first time and you ask about their life, that person will think you are the best person in the world. So what have you achieved? You have made your conversational partner happy. And secondly, I can assure you, you will learn more in listening than in talking. Always try to turn the spotlight on the other person. Normally what happens is, and that is very unfortunate part is, that most of the time we want to do the talking. As a result, we don't give chance to another person to speak. But let me tell you, if you give another person a chance to speak, if you focus your searchlight on that other person will be very happy and he will think you are the best person. And obviously, they also captivate the talker. Brian Tracy, you all know, he's a great motivational and he's a sales trainer. When he trains salespeople, he tells them of a giant searchlight and he tells them that when that searchlight is shining on the product which the salesperson want to sell, the prospect is not interested. But when you put that searchlight on the prospect, then you will be able to convince him to buy what you are selling. So you must always put your searchlight on the other person and your conversation will go top class. When you meet someone, imagine a giant revolving spotlight between you. When you're talking, the spotlight is on you. When new person is speaking, it is shining on him or her. The longer you keep it shining away from you, the more interesting he or she finds you and your conversation content. So, ladies and gentlemen, point is that try to give an opportunity to other person to speak, and then your conversation carries on and the other person feels very happy about it. Next, we come to a very important technique. Now, moment arises in life, even for some expert conversationalists, when they hit the wall. They also don't know now how to carry on with the conversation. And sometimes they find themselves fruitlessly fanning the embers of a dying conversation. Fruitlessly, they're trying to carry on with the conversation. And they want to carry on because a number of reasons. One could be for political reason, other could be for the human compassion. But they want that conversation must carry on. So what do? I'll tell you a foolproof trick which will keep the fire blazing of your conversation. And that trick is known as parroting. Now, what does parroting mean? When it is your turn to speak and your mind goes blank, you don't know what to speak next. Don't panic. Instead of signaling verbally or non-verbally that you are listening to the other person, simply repeat or parrot last 2 or 3 words of your companion, what he is talking about, in a sympathetic and in a questioning tone. I repeat, whenever you go blank and you don't know what to talk next, just listen to your partner who is speaking and just repeat like a parrot last 2 or 3 words of his with sympathetic and questioning tone. That throws the conversation ball right back in your partner's court and he will carry on with the talk. Never be left speechless again. Like a parrot, simply repeat the last few words your conversation partner says. That puts the ball right back in his or her court, and then all you need is to listen, and your small talk will become a big talk. Now, I come to second last technique, which I call it encore. Now, what is encore? Encore is the word appreciative audience chant when they want one more song from a singer, one more dance from a dancer, and one more poem from a poet. Encore is the name of technique you can use to request a repeat story from your prospect, your potential employer, or valued acquaintance. Encore serves 2 purposes. Firstly, it makes your colleague very happy. And secondly, it is a great way to give dying conversation a heart transplant. It will carry on. Whenever you are meeting or you are at a party with someone important to you, think of some stories which he had told you earlier. I'll repeat. Whenever you meet someone in a party and whom you think is a very important person, and you have heard some certain stories from him which he has told you, choose an appropriate one from all the stories which he has told you, which the crowd will enjoy, and then simply turn to him and say, Vivek, I bet everyone would love to hear about the incident in which you chased the terrorists when you were in Jammu and Kashmir. So what have you done? You have, firstly, that person who is important to you. You have heard his story earlier also. Now, what you have done, you have requested him to repeat the story in front of others. And once you do that, then that person feels very, very great about it. And then he will carry on with the story again. So what is the technique? The sweetest sound your conversation partner can hear from lips when you're talking with a group of people is, tell them about the time you dash, dash, dash. So what have you done? You have invited your important person to tell the story to the guest, and your conversation will carry on. Last, we come to another technique, which is very simple, and you can do it very easy. Now, what is that technique? The best way to assure you are a conversationally in the swing of things is listen to the newscast before you leave for the meeting or you leave for the party. Because whatever is going on right in the world, whether there is a war going on, there are floods, there are fire, there are earthquakes, toppled government, stock market crashes, all these topics pulverizes into great conversational fodder, no matter what crowd you are circulating. So before you leave for the party or you go anywhere where you will be meeting people, my suggestion to you is Please listen to the news, latest news on the TV or on the radio or on the newscast. And then when you go there, you will find that most of the people will be discussing that. So what will happen is that you will be able to contribute. And secondly, you will not look fool when you ask someone that what are they discussing about. So these were the 13 techniques which will help you in carrying on a small talk or carrying on a conversation. Because this problem I have seen while interacting with people, that most of the people are very uncomfortable in making a small talk. So with these techniques, I'll repeat them one by one. First, what you must match your mood with your listener mood. That is number one. Number two, PROSAIC with passion means whatever you say, it is not important, because 80% times what you say is not important to your listener. It is how you say. Only thing you have to be cautious about is that you should not complain, you should not be rude, or you should not say something unpleasant. Next was WHATZIT, that is carry something unusual or wear something unusual. Next technique was WHOOZAT. Go to your party giver and request him to formally introduce you to that person whom you want to meet and interact with. Or you can ask your party giver to give certain information about that person, about his job, about his interest, about his hobbies. And that with that information, you can go and interact with that person. Next was eavesdropping. That means you want to meet someone, but that someone is interacting already with a group of people. So just stand next to them and listen to the words. And once you find something very interesting, just barge in and say, oh, you are discussing that. I would like to know more about it. And then you are in the group. Next three techniques were never naked city. Whenever you are asked from where are you from, don't give one word answer. Say something, 2-3 sentences about your town. Then is the never naked job. Whenever you are asked, what are you doing? Don't say one word answer. Just add 2-3 things about your job, which will help you in conversing with the other person. Never naked information, very, very important. Most of the people don't know how to introduce others. You must pad up that introduction so that you give opportunity to the people who are being introduced to interact with each other. Then is your clue to the words, parroting. Then was listening to the news, your encore technique, and your spotlight technique. So if you follow all these techniques, I can assure you, you will be a better conversationalist, and not only in your social life, in your business life, also it will help you, and it will help you to become successful. I have finished here. If there are any questions, it will be my honor to answer those questions. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
What a wonderful knowledge given by you, sir. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. Once again, I would like to thank for joining us and sharing your experience, your precious time and knowledge with us. Okay, so the first question is, how does parroting works in conversation?
How does parroting works in conversation? Like I told you, that if you feel that you are not progressing ahead in conversation and you want to, for some reason, you want to carry on with the conversation, it could be because of political reason, it could be because of social reason or something. You don't want this conversation to die down. The best thing you can do is whatever your other person, your conversation partner is saying, just repeat those last 2-3 words in a questioning and in sympathetic manner. Once you do that, the other person will carry on. You can try it. I'm telling you, I have tried it a number of times and it has worked. You try it, and I can assure you that the other person will keep on talking and your conversation will keep on going.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the next question, what is encore and how it helps in
Encore,
interacting with others?
okay. Firstly, you must understand what is encore. Encore is that you must have seen that if you go to any thing, any program going on, any singer is singing, dancing going on, or you go to any poets where there is some people are जहाँ पे कविता वगैरह they are saying. So encore is a word, appreciation word from the crowd asking the singer to sing one more song. So it is a great technique when you are interacting with someone and you feel that that person is very, very important to you. And if he has told you some story, so it will be much better that you ask him to repeat the story, not only to you, but to other people also who are in the group. And once you do that, that person will be very happy to do that, and that conversation which was going on, it will get extended.
Okay, sir. The another question is how can we improve our conversation?
I've told you these techniques. You follow these 13 techniques and you will improve your conversation. Follow these 13 techniques. If not all, follow some of the techniques, and I can assure you your conversation will improve.
How can we start a conversation with the manager when we are searching for a job?
With the manager, now that is totally a different topic, because that is not a small talk, it is an interview. And when you go for an interview, you don't start the conversation. The conversation is started by the interviewer. He will ask you certain question initially for as an icebreaker question, and later on he will be asking you the other question. So it is not a small talk which we are talking about. It is the informal conversation which we are talking about. Interview is a formal thing.
Sir, is there any way how to मतलब interviewer को क्या कैसे आंसर करना चाहिए?
इंटरव्यूअर को आंसर करना, लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, इंटरव्यूअर को आंसर करने के लिए दिस इज नॉट द टॉपिक वेयर आई कैन डिस्कस अबाउट द इंटरव्यू. इंटरव्यूअर के लिए टॉपिक इज डिफरेंट, बिकॉज इट इज वी आर नॉट डिस्कसिंग ओनली ए कन्वर्सेशन in a business meeting or in a party. Interview is a formal conversation between the interviewer and the interviewee. In that, whatever questions are asked by the interviewer, you have to answer those questions. That is very simple.
Thank you, sir. Now, thank you all again for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional question, you can contact us by email or telephone. We are happy to provide additional support to you. Thank you so much for cooperating. So stay connected to us for new learning. I, Kirti Nawar, your host for the day, signing off. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sanjeet sir, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Kirti. Thank you very much. It was nice interacting.
Sharing your knowledge and